Hello everybody, Tyrcon4 here. So, another pseudo-monthly update. Hope I'll be able to keep this going for the Witch Hunt, or not, project. So, first thing worth mentioning is I'm more or less planning to change the work-in-progress name to The Hunted Witch, since Witch Hunt's already taken by at least one other game and other stuff, and kind of generic, so the Hunted Witch is better also than a few of the other titles I've had in mind, since it focuses on the idea of the witch herself as being the protagonist or character, as opposed to like hunting a witch or how to hunt a witch, or all those other ones tended to make it seem like you could be the person doing the hunting as opposed to the person being hunted. So the Hunted Witch is currently my new work in progress, possibly will change title. So next, yeah, mostly I've been working on the missions 2 and 3 this week, month, definitely not a week. So this here is the initial pass on map 2. Has a lot more enemies, overall more importance on the player actually dodging, since there's more dangerous enemies clustered together. You only have to move around a little bit, but it's more than the first mission where half the time you could just face tank stuff. So as long as you stay a little bit mobile, you'll be okay against the drones. And then if you keep playing the mission for a while, yeah, this one. Then you'll get transports coming in with bombs, impromptu kamikaze drones of sorts, and you're going to need to swap into the fast flying mode to evade these because, well, there you have to be a really good shot to reliably knock them all out before they get close, but in general the whole point of Mission 2 is it focuses on drilling in the importance of mobility. Without that, you're not going to get too far in this game. It is a game about flying, so players need to be familiar with that idea. So here is the third map. It looks very different, testing out some different terrain, landscape, and texture packs and options. I kind of like this. Honestly, this one looks a lot better during the day than during the evening when this mission is supposed to take place, but overall I'm thinking I might use this style on the maps going forward, or I might experiment some more. A lot of stuff is still kind of in that whole may change. Like, I don't have a whole lot of experience when it comes to doing landscapes and levels, so a lot of this is still kind of newish to me. Either way, in this one, you'll be attacking a forward operating base. Most of it's dirt, some supplies dropped around, a few little semi-fabricated facilities where it's largely prefab units with maybe a little bit of a concrete base that was quickly set up. So, in this one, you're attacking a drone base that controls the drones in the area. And you've got some fun things. A lot more units, so I had to do a lot of improvements in various areas on performance. Also, we got some new tougher units, like base defenses. These can hit quite hard if you're not careful. And they've got some fun effects, like... checked. Slow down the camera speed. The barrel's glowing. I'm not sure if I'll bother adding this to everything else, but yeah, for them at least, it gives you a decent way to know dangerous versus right now they're not dangerous until it finishes cooling down. Might add that on other units, but it also might just be too small of a detail to really be notable. I'll see whether or not I notice it as I play more and more. Also some fun things like, yeah, these supply stations, they can, depending on what they are, it can set stuff. They explode, AoE, damage, health. So they might explode when you hit them, and they will have a slight delay after dying before they do explode and damage things around them. So you can set off one and potentially create a rippling sympathetic detonation wave, which is kind of what I'm going for, because those are always fun in games, or movies, or anything really. Sequential explosions. Yeah. Either way, so that is more or less some of the general stuff here. And go to a performance test map. And yeah, let's look at some of the different units and stuff. So, kamikaze drone, the barge in Mission 3. This is one of the things that can supply units to those bases. It does not currently have any pathfinding. I don't have water units moving properly. It's just an art piece that sits there, but it's an art piece that can shoot at you and be destroyed. So, free points, almost. It's stationary, so it's an easy target. Turret can be destroyed independently of the rest of it. or blow the whole thing up to take it out, however you want to go about it. In that mission, evacuation helicopter, based off of a Chinook, as you can probably guess, but it's double counter-rotating. Not necessarily the most efficient, but would still be better at higher speed than a current Chinook's design, but you could still probably just do better designs overall than this, or a modern Chinook if you want to have a heavy transport that carries stuff quickly. Cruise missiles, special type of weapon. They are fun. They fly and navigate to the terrain. Let's see. Let's try that now. Target. Let's plonk that down over there. Set 500 sea height. Simulate. So, the general idea is that they will try and fly at a fixed distance above the landscape. So if there's a mountain, they would, contour with the mountains. And then when they get close to a target, they will go into a terminal mode where they will fly down at it or directly towards it at increased speed. And they can't dodge, or they lose their ability to turn as sharply, but they gain speed. Still working on that to, make them both challenging and dangerous, but seemingly fair to actually play against. But it's a fun little ongoing piece of work. Push this over here. Next, yeah, so struggle rates and things. And some of them, like this one, procedurally made, so still simulating. You can change the stuff on the fly, and it adds a nice little bit of variation and jitter in there. Keep everything nice and good looking. Scout drone, new unit made for future missions. It'll just observe and report your position so other units can bombard you from a long distance. It can hover or fly quickly. And the buildings and stuff, the drone repair terminal. Thinking I'm going to redo this one's visuals, but yeah. And then the last main thing was the super heavy tank, which you can think of as kind of like a Bane blade, but in rough appearance and size. The idea being it's huge. Like, here is the, compared to a main battle tank, which could be said to be somewhat comparable to a modern Abrams. You can kind of see a bit of a size difference there, just a little bit. So, this thing has a whole bunch of 22mm cannons, 296mm cannons, and that's a giant 340. Or 38, I forget. Either way, each of these can be independently destroyed and blown off, and you pretty much need to, because these are not just like on a 40k Baneblade or something, they're not just shooting infantry or stuff around them, they are intercepting. The idea being each one fires alternating shots of high-velocity, rocket-assisted, semi-guiding projectiles, which means that it can fire a projectile, and over a long distance, that projectile might arc 5 or so degrees. It's not a fully guided missile that it can just like fly off and do its own thing 90 or whatever degrees, but it's enough that if you're, say, shooting incoming missiles, artillery shells, tank shells, bombs, or whatever, as long as this is pointing roughly where it needs to, the projectile can make minor adjustments to still actually hit the target. Modern CWIS systems, like you'll see on Navy destroyers or ships, they fire just a lot of simple bullets, and most of those bullets are missing, but not by very much. So that if one or two bullets is almost guaranteed to have one of them hit, it only has to fire one or two shots per thing, so bam, 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 bam. Good rate of fire means this thing can wipe out an entire incoming barrage of artillery fairly quickly. And it's got 9 of these turrets all around it, so this thing is a prototype breakthrough tank, which means pretty much you can be dropping bombs, artillery, and whatever you want on it, firing missiles. It's just not going to go down. Almost very few attacks are going to reach it. Also, nice things like every individual rotor system wheel. There's no normal locking sprockets on the back there that link into the track, because each one of these has a rough attachment on the bottom it's independent electric drive wheels, so there's no single one that controls it, so you can blow up any one or two of these and it'll be fine. You can take off the track and every wheel still independently can move it around. It won't have the same surface area, so it's not going to be as good, but it's a really hard beastie to take out. So it's currently shooting off the other target with most of its things, but here's a bit of an example. As a boss, it will be very dangerous. And here you'll notice interception. It is intercepting the attacks that come towards it, but at the same time, if I fire over here, it doesn't care. It will only actually bother intercepting attacks that are moving towards the thing. So that's an improvement to the AI turret controller. I'll have an update with that hopefully coming out this week. Yeah, so this will be a later on boss. It'll be a particularly challenging one despite its relatively small size. I say relatively because compared to the other types of bosses, like the Mobile Fortress, which is that, now that is bigger than a normal tank. Yeah, it's on the small side, but this is the idea of the best technology around 2050 with new design principles for systems that just means you can't attack it, and it's almost guaranteed to always be killing you very quickly and reliably. So, yeah, it'll be a very tough boss regardless of its relatively small size. And yeah, so that's the majority of this. Lots of improvements, changes to the AI so that I can better control them during missions and other stuff. So yeah, if you got any comments or questions, leave them down below. I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And before this video gets too long and I keep ranting, see ya, have a good one, stay healthy.